Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. Whoever you are, wherever you are, and that is very bright, but you are very welcome. How are we all doing on this international week? Week one of international week. And we've had some news. We've had two bits of Tottenham news in the last 24 hours, haven't we? You can decide how important both bits of news are. First of all, yesterday we had the news, didn't we, that Richarlison is wanted by Orlando City. Fabrizio Romano saying that Orlando have presented their project. I love these sayings. They've presented their project to Richarlison for him to join in the 26-27 season, so in the summer of 2026. And then we get the news this morning. Let's just double check. Let me bring in Connor. I'll tell you what, let's bring in Connor. Connor, we do need Connor. Connor said, do I need him? I don't feel right today. I'll be honest. I don't feel right. I was just having a chat with Perchy backstage, and I feel all sorts of disorientated this morning. I don't know what's going on. Apologies. Don't feel with it, but here we are anyway. We're doing what we need to do. And then we get the news this morning from Tottenham Hotspur official that 100 million has been injected into the football club by the Lewis family. Now, since we've had that announcement, lots of reports are coming out that this is just the start. Now, of course, we are football fans, so what we'll start doing is going, what does it mean? Is it for players? Is it for debts? Is it for this? Is it for that? Oh, 100 million. 100 million is nothing. 100 million is shit. Let's take a breather. Let's take our foot off the gas, and we'll all have a look at it together. Now, straight away, what does make me laugh is I agree. I agree with this. Yes, Ash, why fans are being negative, confused. It's initial funding. There'll be more when Frank decides what he wants, as confirmed by Ali Gold. This is exciting news. Now, I think what we mustn't do, big up to you, my man. What we mustn't do, Ash, is get into this stage where whatever news we see, we're now finding a way to shit on it. Any football club that turns around and says, well, there's 100 million towards X, Y, Z, whatever it may be, and we'll talk about that when Connor joins. That's a good thing, right? Isn't that a good thing? And good morning, Connor. How you doing, man? You all right?
Mate, not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, no, mate. I feel all over the place today. I feel like I'm not. I didn't go out last night. I feel hungover, and I'm not. It's a very odd feeling. I just don't quite feel like the dots are connecting in anything I'm saying. But welcome. How are you? You look fresh.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. I was hoping to have a day off of doing any streams today, but obviously Tottenham being Tottenham, they've got this, haven't they? So I felt like I should jump on.
Well, leaving-nomics, that's kind of the giveaway, right? Look, we'll get into it in a minute. I was just saying, looking at a lot of comments, it does make me laugh. There's lots of people going, 100 million. Well, I mean, this morning it was 0 million. If you woke up today and I transferred you £1,000 for no reason and you had said, got 1,000, but hang on, yesterday I hadn't given you a penny. So we'll get into it. We will talk about it. Also, a little bit of news about the GOAT, Richarlison, about the GOAT and Orlando City, who apparently don't have any money but want to buy him. And I'm comfortable if they don't have any money to try and buy Richarlison. I'm happy for him to go on a free. I'll tell you what, we'll pay them to leave. Look, let's have a look before we get into comments, etc. This is what we saw this morning from Tottenham Hotspur official, and literally this story is less than an hour old. It says, we are pleased to announce that our majority shareholder, the Lewis family, the Lewis family trust, through ENIC Sports and Development Holdings, injected 100 million of new capital into the club. Now, I'm going to go to the statement that is on the official website just so that people can get the full wording, and then we can ask you about it, Connor. So this is what Tottenham have actually said on the official Spurs website. Is that too small for me to read? No, I've got 20/20 vision. I should be good, he says as he leans in to the camera. No, I'm going to blow that up a little bit. I have actually got 20/20 vision. I've had laser eye surgery, but didn't help me there. It says here, where are we? It says here, we are pleased to announce that our majority shareholder, the Lewis Family Trust, has, through ENIC Sports and Development Holdings Limited, i.e. ENIC, injected 100 million of new capital into the club. This injection, this equity injection will further strengthen the club's financial position and equip the club's leadership team with additional resources to continue the focus on driving long-term sporting success. This additional capital is part of the Lewis family's ongoing commitment to the club and its future. Peter Charrington, the non-exec chairman, has said, as I stated a few weeks ago, our focus is on stability and empowering the management team to deliver on the club's ambitions. I know the Lewis family are also ambitious for the future. Today's capital commitment reflects that ambition, and I would like to thank them for their ongoing support. We will continue to do all we can to ensure that Vinay and his team are supported in the best way possible to take this club forward. Simple question to you. On a simple question to you immediately. What does all this mean? What's going on? What does this mean?
Yeah, no, I think it's positive. I think and I see people are commenting, it's only 100 million, which I agree with. We are going to need to inject more. The one big positive I took from that statement, which wasn't quite on that screenshot you had there, but the headline said initial capital injection, which to me implies that they know that they're going to need to do more. I think, when I look at Tottenham's cash flow over the last couple of years, it's fallen a little bit, but it's still high by Premier League standards. But it certainly has. There we go. It certainly has fallen, and I think that is due to two key reasons. One is obviously because of all of the infrastructure spend. Tottenham have spent 500 million of their own cash on property and infrastructure in the last 10 years. And that continues to be needed as we finish the hotel and we do the residential buildings and all that type of stuff. So there is that side of it. But they have also increased transfer spend since we moved into the new stadium. So part of it, the cash going out of the door has been for that. Now we can argue about how well that money's been spent on transfers on the likes of Richarlison. But it certainly has ramped up. Obviously, what hasn't ramped up is the spend on wages, which we know they need to change. So, what I would say to fans that are sort of trying to digest this is, I put up a tweet just now. So since ENIC have owned Tottenham, over that whole period now with this 100 million, they've injected a total of 257 million or thereabouts. And ironically, they've actually injected more into the football club since December 2024. So in the last 10, 11 months than they did in the preceding 24 years. So since December 2024, they've put in this 100 million plus 35 million in December 2024. And then in 24 years before that, it was only 122 million. So although this is still sort of small relative to some other clubs and what you see Chelsea's owners pumping in, Villas, even Arsenal under the Cronkies, I would say it's positive steps, right? And it's a step in the right direction. So, I think we don't know what this 100 million is going to be spent on yet, right? So some of it might still go towards property as it has done in the past. Obviously, we're all hoping it goes on the playing squad. I think there's comments where people say, well, Semenyo is going to cost 80 million. But you have to remember, obviously, when we buy Semenyo, we won't be giving, if we were to buy Semenyo in January for 100 million, we wouldn't be giving them 100 million.
We won't take that as gospel that Connor has said we are buying Semenyo. No. Don't worry, Connor.
No, exactly. So, these payments are structured over a number of years. Sure. And so, it doesn't work that all of that would need to happen at once. And obviously, the football club's already got some cash as well. And we know they also separately took out this loan facility to lend against Premier League revenues for this year as well, which could be up to sort of 90, 100 million potentially as well. So, this is all ways, I suppose, of them trying to manage their cash flow. And I think that for me, it's a positive start and it's a step in the right direction, but we know there's going to need to be more.
No, absolutely. And I think what you've just said there hits the nail on the head. I think, first of all, I do see a lot of people that don't quite understand how transfers work. I think they see Spurs buy Mohamed Kudus for 55 million, that Spurs write a check for 55 million straight to West Ham United. And it's not quite that. There's going to be upfront payments. There's going to be broken down over 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. This adjustment, this add-on, if he scores 50 goals, if he wins player of the year, if he, all of these different things. So we'll get into that in a minute, but I thought this was quite interesting as well. There's a few people I want to have a look at here. So the first one was Ali Gold has said that I understand this is the first chunk. Now, I never thought I'd be so excited to see the words first chunk, but here we are. This is the first chunk of funding from the Lewis family, with more money to be made available as Vinay, Johan and Thomas formalise what they need to do going forward at Spurs. Now, you'll notice that I have talked about them there as though I'm their mate. I did leave off all of their surnames and talked about them in the first name term. But these are positives, and something that somebody just sent me, and obviously this has come out while I'm live, so I haven't been able to have a look at this yet. Let me see if I can spell his name right. I think, is it Kaveh Solokol?
I think there's no R, so I think it's Kaveh.
There we go. So Kaveh Solokol. There you go. I knew I was there or thereabouts. Don't want that. Don't want that. What's he said? There you go. So there you go. Tottenham majority owners, the Lewis family, have put another 100 million into the club. A source close to the family has said this is initial additional funding as the club's manager decides what needs. So I'm all over the place. As the club's management decides what's needed to deliver success, more money will be available. The Lewis family is committed to backing the club to being successful. Now, if we take that, Romano said the same thing. Ali Gold saying it. Ben Jacobs, Matt Law. It very much seems like this is the start. And I don't know about you. I'm not going to look 100 million here. I'm not going to look down on 100 million. This is good, right? This is positive for Tottenham Hotspur, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely positive. And I think, look, the reality of Premier League football is that to be self-sufficient is almost impossible if you actually want to compete for, the top honours, because you're competing with football clubs that have owners that are willing to put in a lot of money, right? So, even Fulham's owners, over the 11 years that they've been there, they've put in almost 900 million pounds, right? Of money to help them, and obviously Fulham are much smaller than us, so they're never going to win the league or challenge for the league. But what that has done for Fulham has made them a consistent mid-table Premier League club, right? And so that's sort of what you're competing with. So yeah, I mean, look, it is positive. It steps in the right direction. We need to see how this translates through to, as I say, how they act in the January transfer window, and then probably more realistically the summer transfer window, because we know that the January window is always difficult, and fans won't want to hear that, but it is. It's absolutely a step in the right direction. The one thing we don't know yet, because they haven't done they will have to do a filing on Companies House within 30 days of announcing this. So we'll see exactly what the structure is and what that means. Normally, when they inject capital, what they do is they increase their shareholding a little bit and dilute some of the minority shareholders, so that they obviously still would get to benefit from this when they end up selling, but that's fine. That's pretty standard. So yeah, look, it definitely is a step in the right direction. What I think as well, I mean, obviously they've made this song and dance of making this announcement publicly first before doing the Companies House. And I think that is because obviously after turning down these couple of expressions of interest, and we don't know how serious they ever were, but they are certainly presenting themselves as being committed for at least the medium term, right? And so I think this is another thing where they're trying to enforce that, right, and show to fans that they are committed.
Listen, as you said, we don't know what it's for. I think as football fans, we naturally gravitate, don't we, towards buy a player. That's our natural gravitation. Is no money is needed for anything else. Just go and buy a Semenyo. Just go and buy a Savio. Insert name. But there are debts that need to be serviced, right? There's money still owed on players. There's a lot of money still owed on players. And I actually saw, I can't find it. I'm really annoyed. Somebody sent it to me yesterday and I can't find it. Hopefully you know what I'm talking about. There was a graph that came out yesterday showing clubs that owe money on players. And we were really, really high up. I think we were second or third in terms of.
I think we are. Yeah. We're right. We're right at the very top, basically.
Right. Yeah.
I
For some
think
reason, I
now
don't know.
United have overtaken us because of the work, what they did in the summer, and also because they declare their accounts earlier than ours. But yeah, we're top 2 or 3 for money owed.
Yeah. Yeah. So look, we know that there's money that's already owed on transfers. We know that there's running costs at a football club, and we know there's a lot going on. But by the way, Ben Jacobs has just said this. He said, and let me show you guys so that you don't think I'm making this up. Not that I'd be able to make this up. So Ben Jacobs has just said, I don't know if you can all see that. He said more on ENIC's 100 million investment in Spurs. The money isn't solely a transfer kitty. The funds are with a view to creating financial strength and sustainability, and they are a sign Tottenham is not for sale. I want to come back to this in a minute, Connor. Some of the 100 million will go towards strengthening the squad, but both now and for the future, the intention is to invest in the club through additional equity rather than adding to the debt. As a result, these funds further boost the Tottenham balance sheet. So it's what you've been saying there, right? This is going to be for a multitude of different sins that this is going to be for. But if we move to that statement there that says a further sign that the club is not for sale, lots of people frustrated in the last couple of months that there's been, let me get the wording right, it's the expressions of interest to buy the club, right?
Yeah.
I believe is the correct terminology. And the Spurs keep saying no. And everyone who hates ENIC's going, well, why not? Why not? If you don't want to make us great, well, why can't you let them have a turn? Is this a signal that we are not the 100 million, but all of this, the rejections of the interest, the 100 million, we're going to pump in more money, is this all signifying that we're about to see a change in ENIC and the way that this football club operates?
Hopefully, I think it's certainly, this is something that we've been passionately wanting for some time, right? And we're all aware that, the handbrake has always been on with ENIC, right?
Oh.
And the way that they have operated has been too risk averse. I've probably made the point on one of your streams, Savva. I think we've almost got to the stage now. If they want to grow the revenues further for Tottenham, it's very difficult to do that without becoming a successful football team, regularly successful football team, because we've done the stadium now. We've got the non-footballing events. We've done, obviously we've got stadium naming rights that we could sell potentially. That's another one. But, generally we've almost hit our cap unless we become a consistent Champions League participant. And therefore you then get that Champions League money coming in every year consistently. And then your commercial revenue grows as well because you get bigger sponsors, right? So I think, my problem with ENIC has always been that they've been too afraid to speculate to accumulate, right? And so they've never been willing to go that extra mile and really stretch themselves in the hope that actually that will grow you more going forward. And we see that with clubs like, the reason why Liverpool's revenue is higher than ours is not because they make more on match days, because my season ticket is probably double the price of a Liverpool fans and the stadium is bigger, etc., etc. It's because they've been successful over a number of years, and therefore they're able to, one, get Champions League money always coming in, and two, their sponsorship deals are bigger because they're more of a globally recognised fan base and all of this type of stuff. So, that's the next step for us. We can only really grow our revenue now by investing, and I think hopefully this is a sign that the Lewis kids who are in their 60s have realised that now this is the point we need to put some money in order to get some money.
Isn't it funny that whenever anyone talks about the Lewis kids, they always have to caveat that they're not kids and that they're in their 60s. It's like, just so we're not being run by teenagers. Our owners aren't teenagers. I find it all very fascinating because I've always, since I started YouTube, I'm more fascinated by fan reaction to everything. So people always tell me off, Connor, going, oh, you always care what the fans think. Well, we're a fan forum. This is why I started YouTube. We got fans in the chat. And isn't it so funny to see how some people look at this and go, yeah, this is good. This is really positive. I like this. And other people straight away go, well, it's just going to pay off a hotel. 100 million. What is this PTSD? Are we so traumatized through the last 25 years of ENIC that we immediately see anything, even if it's, hey, here's 100 million, and we go, shit. Like, is it PTSD, Connor?
It is. And I mean, look, no one's been more critical of ENIC than I have, or you have at times as well, right? We've
Yeah.
and certainly I don't think either of us are taking this as this is absolutely certain that they've now changed their ways and it's absolutely going to be the case. But I think what you have to do is there certainly has been a sea change. Daniel Levy's left the club, right? That is, and obviously that relationship broke down. And I think in due course, what we will see is that Levy's stake is sold or reduced, and actually maybe even as part of when this starts to flow through and we see how the impact of this injection, maybe they might reduce Levy's stake in the club as a result of putting in this money or something. We don't know how that's going to translate through. So that's a massive change. We've finally got a proper structure in place where we've got a proper CEO who knows football in Vinay, so that's positive. Hopefully we've got in my view, we've got a proper manager now. So they're making the right steps, right, is what I would say. So we've got to give it a year. I would say at least, the January and the summer window to see how this flows itself through. As you said, wouldn't you rather have 100 million injected than not? you got to be balanced on these things and take the positive of that. And still, you can say, yes, we need more, but let's see. It sounds like it's going to come, hopefully.
But to be fair, it kind of mirrors how the fans are with the actual team, because it's like, your third, lost one game in 11, second best defense in the country, third best attack in the country, through in the League Cup, haven't lost in the Champions League, and still I'm watching so many channels that honestly, Connor, I'm watching channels this week and I'm thinking, have I gone to sleep, woken up 3 months later and we're in the bottom three? Like the way people are talking. And that's kind of mirroring what I'm seeing here with this injection. Now, they've clearly stated, bless me, I am not well. I can tell something's not going on, mate. It's clearly stated that this is the beginning, or this is the first chunk of cash, and there's going to be more cash. The owners are rejecting offers. All of the sources close to the club since Daniel Levy has gone have said they want success on the pitch. They want sporting success. We've not heard that before. We've always heard about long-term success, long-term investment. But we've never heard on-pitch success, which is what we're hearing now. Sporting success. That's what leads me to believe this is different. But the problem we've got, Connor, sorry for the long-winded point. The problem that we've got is I feel like we're going to get to January. And if in January, right, Spurs don't set the world alight with 280, 90 million pound signings, people are going to go, oh, nothing's changed. We're kind of in between a rock and a hard place right now as a football club, aren't we, in that front?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you make a good point about this sporting success, and look, it might be that they're just getting a little bit better at comps. So if you're cynical, you might just have that view. But when back in 2022, when they injected up to 150 million, which we all know didn't end up being 150 million, it ended up being 97.
Right.
The wording they used at that time was, this equity injection provides Tottenham with greater financial flexibility and the ability to further invest on and off the pitch. And you compare that to the wording now, which is, this equity injection is for longer term sporting success. You're right, there is a difference, right, in just the way that it's even being framed. And so, I take a lot in that wording of initial as well. As you just said, I think hopefully that means that there is more to come. But yeah, look, I appreciate why fans would be cynical. If this was a new owner doing this, that we didn't have 24 years of history of
course,
acting a certain way, clearly everyone would be pretty positive. And the final point I'd make on it is that, it wouldn't actually make a lot of sense for them to put in, say, 300 million right now, because why would they? They don't need 300 million pound cash as we sit right now on the 9th of October. because they can't go and spend any of it anyway because it's not a transfer window. So they're going to do it in drips and drabs because that's the way that that's the way that anyone is going to operate on these types of things, and it's the same way that people personally would pay things off if they could, when it comes to their own debt or whatever, or money they're spending themselves. So, yeah, I think we just need to keep a watching brief on this and see how it goes in January and the summer.
Yeah, no, I absolutely, mate, absolutely. I find it quite staggering. Like Ben is right. So good morning, everyone. People speaking of only 100 million have no concept of money. 100 million, and he's right. 100 million is a lot of money. Like it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And you're right. If a new owner rocked up today, let's say, what's his name, who didn't get the gig?
Eric,
Eric, yeah. Let's say Eric took over yesterday and then today announces as part of our first duty as Spurs owners, we have pumped in £100 million for the club. Everyone would go, oh, look at these owners. Oh God, they're so different to ENIC. But because it's ENIC, we go 100 million. What? So I'm slightly, I would say I'm confused or shocked, but this is our fan base. This is what we do. Look, let's move to the January transfer window, Connor, because when one window shuts, we always go, oh, it's ages. It's really not. There's really not a lot of time between now and the window. It's the 9th of October. I'm just going to roughly make it up that there's 60, 80 days, 82 days, 83 days until the transfer window opens. You're right. You would not turn around and go, right, Spurs have announced we've added £500 million into a kitty. Surely then everyone in the transfer window just goes, well, hang on, you've announced you've got loads of money. So don't we have to think about it from that point of view as fans as well, that we're not going to announce, I'm not going to walk into a bar and announce what my budget is for the night out. I'm not going to rock up to a group of if I was younger, I'm married now. I was going to say unfortunately, but I'm married now. I'm not going to rock up to a group of girls and go, girls, I'm buying you drinks all night. By the way, I've got $5,000 for tonight. What are we doing here?
No, it would make no sense. It would make no sense to do that, would it? So yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting in January because all of the messaging that we're getting now, along with this type of stuff, is that they are going to look to operate in a different way in January. I mean, ironically, I thought that we might get rid of Langer, and I thought we might also not take on Paratici, and they might look for a new director of football because I thought it might have been, with Vinay now being fully in control, and obviously with Paratici being sort of Levy's man to some extent, I thought they might want to make a bit of a mark and hire a new director of football, but it doesn't look like that is going to be the case now, or certainly they haven't left themselves a lot of time if you want to plan ahead for January, because our criticism of Tottenham has always been in transfer windows. They don't go into it well prepared, do they? We even saw that in this summer, which has obviously been an improvement in terms of some of the players we've signed, but it was still another window where we didn't quite do everything that you needed to do. And you and I have both spoke about the left winger situation considerably. But I think going into January, I think most reasonable fans will say it is difficult to do work in January, whatever your view is. Because, say Semenyo, right? He's the one that everyone wants at the moment. Bournemouth got a whole lot of cash in the summer as well, right? So they're not exactly in a situation where they need to do that. Him himself, would he be that desperate to leave them in January versus going in the summer when he could just, he could have his pick of offers potentially in the summer? I've always said with Semenyo, I could see him going to a Liverpool because I think with Salah now getting older and on the decline a little bit, to me, it feels like they probably do need another winger signing. So, that naturally feels like a player they could go after. So that's a difficult deal to be done. And people say just go and slap 90, 100 million pounds on Semenyo. I think Semenyo is excellent, but, realistically, if I'm saying, I know it's not our money, but do you think he's worth 100 million pounds?
Oh, you're asking me? You're asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you. Do you? Yeah, do you? I think that's toppy personally. In a world that you get Kudus for 55, is he worth almost double Kudus?
it's difficult, isn't it? Because do I love the player versus how much is a player worth? Is in this day and age, I don't know anymore. You know, you get quality players like Kudus for 55, and then you get other players who are going at 120, 130 million, and you got to weigh up: are you getting bang for your buck? Are you getting double? For example, are Liverpool going to get double this year out of Wirtz what we get out of Kudus? Now, that's for me. That's each club for them to say, what is it that we wanted? What did we expect? If Liverpool go and win the Champions League and the Premier League, they're not going to give a monkeys what they've spent on Wirtz, Isak, Ekitike. For Spurs, are we that club? Are we that club that turn around and go, right, here's 90 million? Key thing you just said there, Connor, for me, and this is something I don't think we take into account. It is business now, right? And you're right. Bournemouth have just made a truckload of cash, right, in that summer. I mean, how much did they sell Zabanyi and Hewson for? Over 100 between them?
Over 100,
Over
plus
100.
Kirkes,
Plus Kirkes, do you know what I mean, right? And then they go and spend 10 million on this player, 15 on this player. So they're making a profit. So if Spurs rock up and go, let's be conservative. I can't believe I'm going to say conservative. There's 75. Right, there's 75 million for Semenyo. Now we'll all go, oh my God, 75 million. Bournemouth will turn around and go, well, do we need to sell right now? Do we need to sell in January? One, we don't need to sell at all. Two, what does this do for derailing our? No, we don't know. In about 10 league games time, it's about 10 to 12 league games time is the January transfer market, right? They could be sitting there, bottom half. They've fallen off a cliff, and maybe they think, yeah, we'll take that money. But they could be sitting there, 4th, 5th, 6th, going, well, hang on, we're flying. We play once a week. Everyone's fit. We're flying. Let's, as a bare minimum, let's keep Semenyo until the summer when we've given ourselves 6 months to scout somebody to replace Semenyo, and he might get us that money by getting us into Europe. So,
exactly.
I don't think it's as easy as everyone thinks. I don't.
No, and look, a few people have commented, and I agree. To Bournemouth, he probably is worth 100 million. I suppose my point was, if you ask me as a completely independent assessment, do I think he's worth 100 million? Probably not quite, based on what others are going for. But I absolutely appreciate the point. Ultimately, it matters what Bournemouth deem him to be worth, because they don't have to sell now. Yeah, and you're spot on. There is an opportunity cost for them, right? They might push for Europe. They might also think, we really don't want to upset Iriola. Right? Iriola has been very, very understanding, I think, of their situation in the summer, where they sold 3 of their back 4 and got rid of their keeper, in a way that maybe Glasner wasn't at Palace. Glasner, rightly, in my view, kicked up a bit of a fuss about the way that Palace operated in the transfer window. If they went and sold Semenyo in January, Iriola might go, oh, do you know what? Fuck this. What chance are you giving me? Every time I get the team going, and it looks like there's a cap on whatever I can achieve here, and so
there's a knock on. Every decision causes another. So what is it? What's that? The saying I'm looking for. Everything causes a reaction. Right? It's the change,
basically.
Yeah. Like, it's not just we want Semenyo, get him. It's, well, hang on, what will Iriola think? What does that do for current players who are going? Hang on. Just for example, we're 4th. I don't know if they will be, by the way. I'm just surmising. We're 4th in the Premier League, and this guy's got 13 Premier League goals and 7 assists, and he's flying. He's having the year of his life. You've just gone and sold him. What win does that take out the sales of Bournemouth? So I don't think it's that simple. By the way, we're doing that thing again, aren't we? As a football club, we're doing that thing where we get one player fixated in our heads.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We get, now, bearing in mind, half the fan base that are saying this, Connor, I was talking about Semenyo at the beginning of the window, where I said, that's a great sign. I was
about to make the exact same point. Yeah.
And how many came into chats going, oh, they want, I think at the time it was like, they want 70. He ain't worth 70. Now everyone's going, if they want 90, give them 90. What changed in a summer? What changed? Are football fans basing this now on because he's had a brilliant 7 games? Is that how quickly we change our minds from he's only had 1 good season, he's not worth 70 million, to 4, you've got to get Semenyo? We're doing
I mean,
that.
I bet if you remember Ornstein was the one who tweeted it, didn't he? That we had interest in Semenyo, but the price was 70 million, to your point, and it looked like he was going to stay. And I bet if you look through the replies from Tottenham fans, people were going, "Oh yeah, I want Mbeumo anyway," or some would say I wanted Kudus, because at that point we were thinking Semenyo was probably instead of whoever we were going to sign on the right? Even though it looks like he's playing better on the left now. So yeah, I think it absolutely is a reaction to how
Yeah,
well he has been. I mean, the one thing I would say about him, I think, and obviously this is early days, so this might change. But to me, last year it looked like he was snatching at chances quite a lot. Whereas this year he's become a lot more clinical. And then he did this
sure.
piece where he was talking about how much he's worked on, not focusing on hitting the ball so hard and being more focused on the finish. And I think you can see that has happened. And obviously this is why coaching is so important, right? And something that actually I think Kudus needs to work on. I love Kudus. I think he's a top player, but he sometimes can be not the most composed in front of goal. And I think he needs to add that little bit of goal threat to really take him to the next level.
Agreed.
And you're seeing that with Semenyo. And actually, that's the reason why I think, to be fair, Semenyo would really complement us, because we need goals from the left at the moment
Oh,
desperately.
I love it. I think he's great. I said last season, really like this guy. Definitely take him. Now, Ash, if this is true, this completely changes the conversation. This does a 180. If there's a release clause of 65, then I turn it all back on Tottenham and go, right. Do you know, if there is a release clause, go and pay it in January. Is this true? Is this 100% true? I've not seen this, but
I've not. I mean, I would expect for him to sign a new contract, he must have agreed that there would be a release clause in there, because why would he have signed a new contract at Bournemouth knowing that he
sure.
could have gone there? And I reckon Bournemouth probably said to him, "Look, we've already sold loads of players this summer. Sign a new contract for at least a year. We'll pay you a load more money, and we'll let you go next summer if a big club comes into you and they pay this release clause of X." Now, I don't know whether it's 65 million. That seems a bit light to me, but maybe. But similarly, it might also be the case that only comes into effect in the summer anyway, rather than in January, which would be
Right.
sensible from Bournemouth's perspective.
And by the way, we don't listen. I'm not. By the way, Ash, I'm not doubting you, mate. I've not seen it. It doesn't mean I'm doubting you on that. Do we know the makeup of that 65? Like you said, is it time dependent? Is it 65 million, but 50 million of that must be in one payment, and then 15 million?
Exactly, we don't know.
Like we don't know that's made. Now, again, if Spurs want to act like a big club, two parts to this. If Spurs want to act like a big club, and that is the case, then fine, go out and do it. Because for me, that does change the game. Suddenly now, if I say Spurs have got 3 behind a striker of Kudus, Xavi, and Semenyo, I'm now going into a lot of games going, okay.
Even if it's Solanke up top, you still look a lot more threatening, don't you?
Right.
Well, hopefully Mawani
Absolutely.
does.
Absolutely, mate. If I said to you, you've got Mawani, Kudus, Simmons, and Semenyo, that for me, I look at that 4 and go, yeah, that's really
top
good.
4 quality, isn't it? Yeah.
Right.
That could be the difference. And I suppose that's the point for us to consider when we think about, let's say it's a doable deal in January, but we think the price is toppy. Well, yeah, but maybe it's worth it because it's going to kick us on to then get Champions League football or not, right? And that, again, back to that point. I mean, there's a few people commenting, and obviously this is I think we're all worried about it because apparently he's an Arsenal fan, and whether Arsenal go after him, because they probably still need an actual out-and-out left winger. The one thing I would say is, to give a little bit of comfort, I don't think Arsenal can do this deal unless they sell someone like a Martinelli, for example, because they are now very, very close to the sort of UEFA squad cost ratio limits with what they spent in the summer just gone. So unless they get rid of Martinelli, or have another big sale somewhere and get some money off the wages, I think they would find it difficult to do this Semenyo deal. That's not to say
Yeah,
it won't happen, because they might be a bit more
let's
creative
look at
than
this.
that, but I think it'll be difficult.
Well, let's look at it. Let's look realistically at who would want him, because of course, top. Listen, I'm always someone talking about the food chain. I know where Spurs are. Now we've got Agent Kudus, as people say, is his Ghana teammate. Agent Kudus in the house saying, "Oh, come on, we could play together for Ghana and Tottenham." And we've got Xavi Simons in there now. He's going to be threading things. And don't worry about defending. You've got Paulinho. He'll kick everyone behind you. You're all right. But if you look at the clubs that will need him, let's look, right? Liverpool at the moment have just spent a ton. And at the moment, Salah isn't going anywhere. He's just signed a new contract. So if you're Semenyo, you're looking and you're going, well, they've got Salah, Ekatike, Wirtz, Gakpo, Isak. You're probably looking and saying, am I game time? Yeah, you're probably looking at game time. Then you look at Man City. Man City have got Bob, Doku, Savio, Mamouche, you name it. City have got it, right?
Play out there, yeah.
Odin, Silva, right? Okay. You then look at Chelsea. Chelsea have just signed Bino Gittins and Garnacho and Esteval and Pedro Neto. The lap, Pedro. You're looking across going, well, that's 6 straight away. Then you look at, I'm missing one. Obviously, them lot down the road. I'm looking at Arsenal. They've got Martinelli, Trossard, Madueke, Staka, Eze, Odegaard, Gyökeres, Mikel Merino, Havertz. It's a lot of attacking options. And then the other one that could probably afford them would be Newcastle. And Newcastle on the wings have got Harvey Barnes, Anthony Gordon, Anthony Elanga, Jacob Murphy. Right now, and maybe there's a tiny bit of bias coming to me. Right now, I'm looking at it going, there's a missing jigsaw piece at one club in of those clubs in Champions League. That's us.
Yeah,
we're the ones where he wandered straight in, right?
Yeah, I think that's fair. For me, Liverpool's always been there because I just think he might think of the succession, and we don't know.
Sure.
If Salah continues as he has this season until the end of the season, he may make a decision himself personally. Or do you know what? Actually, this is a good time for me to go to Saudi or something, right? And Liverpool will still get some money.
Sure.
I know there's rumours though that Liverpool are looking at other players, like Elise, for example. Obviously, you got some of the foreign ones that would probably be linked, would want a Semenyo for sure. But yeah, I mean, there's a good chance. The worry, what the painful thing is going to be for us if we do sign him, though. But obviously, it'll be a nice problem to have. Is when the African Cup of Nations comes around and Ghana do qualify, unlike this year, and then we lose bloody both our winners. Liverpool used to have that with Mane and Salah, didn't they? Where when it was the African Cup of Nations, they'd lose both. But this is where you need to make sure you've got good squad depth, and then by that stage, anyway, your mate Odegaard will be top class, and he'll be able to fill in for Semenyo, won't he?
I'm not mentioning him today. People get very upset. Honestly, they're watching a different player to me. Yeah, funnily enough, right? He's being shown right now. Sky Sports are running a poll right now saying Haaland or Semenyo, who is having a better season. I love they just create this like two players who play in different positions, but sure, let's do that. Look,
Semenyo is like at the moment, Sav. At the moment, they keep running this like who's the best midfielder in the league thing as well. I don't know, the overlap, and everyone is debating who's better out of Rice and Caicedo. It's just to create engagement.
All I care about is how well my boy Paulinho is doing in a Tottenham shirt. That's what. And have you noticed none of these people talk about him? Have you noticed? I keep hearing, is it Gravenberch? Is it Caicedo? Is it right? Hang on, what about my man Paulinho's come in and transformed how we defend, and he's got the most tackles, the most recoveries. Come on, get my boy in there. Look at it's your mate. You bumped into him on a night out, didn't you?
I did. It was very random. Yeah. I was out in London Bridge. I was pretty half cut as well, and walked in. And when you sort of half recognise someone because obviously we've streamed together, but you're like, I'm pretty sure anyway. And then we chatted for a little while. So good to see you, Manny.
What pub was you in London Bridge?
The Bridge Tap is like basically just outside of
I know.
Bridge
I know.
Station. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I know. I was going to say, have you been to the Redwood in London Bridge for sport?
Yeah, it's good for sport.
That's good.
All of those ones I like Greenwood or Victoria. Yeah, they're good.
Yeah. Excuse me, Ghana needs to qualify every time. Listen, I'm happy if we got Semenyo, I'd be happy for Ghana to never qualify, mate. I've got nothing against Ghana, but if I've got two of their best players. Let me just quickly, first of all, big up to Atavatron Wembley. Good morning. Thank you very much. Very generous indeed. Really appreciate you, my man. Said morning, Savva, and all in the chat. After dismissing the ENIC consortium bid, ENIC had to prove they had big plans of their own. 100 million is nowhere near close to being enough. When's the next change for Tottenham? March. First of all, big up. Thank you very much for the super chat. And we were going to talk about this. We have already, I suppose, but I do feel that we've got to realize how business works, that there was no chance ENIC are going to turn around and whack in like 500 million in one go. It wouldn't make business sense in October, two, to show your rivals, hey, we've just given our club a budget of 500 million and 300 million of that is for sale. It wouldn't make sense. Three, they've turned around and said this isn't the end of it. There's more to come, but it doesn't mean everything needs to be done in one go. So I'm going to say it. Thank you for the super chat, but this does feel very, very harsh, doesn't it? This feels very, very harsh for me.
Yeah, it does. And look, I'm someone who's attended Change for Tottenham marches and been involved with the Change for Tottenham guys behind the scenes, and I think without wanting to talk on their behalf, I'm pretty sure even the Change for Tottenham guys will not be using this as an opportunity to bash the club, right? Because it certainly is a positive start. And the other thing is, I would say, this ENIC consortium bid where they talk about, he spoke about, injecting 1.2 billion into players. We'd never know how serious this story ever was, right? They got to the expression of interest stage, and then nothing else. We don't know that the guy seemed a little bit of a chancer, didn't he? He's posting all over social media, so I would just, it gets the fans all excited because he talks about 1.2 billion for the squad and stuff. But yeah, anyone can say that type of stuff.
Where I will agree with him, first of all, I'm not saying about the 100 million not being a lot, but what I will agree with is if you are going to turn away all of these expressions of interest, then the fans have a right to demand, right, okay, cool, you're 100%. Turning them down. So what are you doing with it? You've had 25 years. Are you going to is this going to now suddenly turn? Now, we're all surmising because nothing can be done right now. We're not in a transfer window, so we're all surmising. The eyes are firmly going to be on the next signings. The next signings can't be a 19, 20-year-old kid. Unless that 19, 20-year-old kid is some top player who plays for Barcelona or Real. They can't get away with that, Connor, now, because I'll be one of the first ones at the front of the queue. If their next signing is some 18-year-old from Blackburn Rovers that could be good in 3 years, I will straight away go, why did you not sell the club there? If this is what you want, why did you not sell the club? Is that fair? I mean, the scrutiny is going to be on.
That's completely fair. And I think that's why everyone should judge them after January in the summer window. And I think that I think if they don't operate the way that we're describing we want them to operate at Savva by that stage, then absolutely fans are well within their rights and will be criticising them on streams like this for sure. I think you need to obviously see how that plays through. I mean, what I would say is why could you be asked to put yourself through this if you're not going to change the way you're going to operate? You've got rid of Levy now. You've put in place Vinay. You've put in place Frank. You're trying to be serious. You've now injected 100 million. You rejected these bids. Why do all of that if you're then not going to have a go at it again? And maybe that will end up being the case. And in which case, we'll all lose the will to live. But please, God, finally, Tottenham have a go. And I think that's all any fan can ask, right? It's not to guarantee that we're going to win the league in the next couple of years or win a trophy or whatever, but I just want to feel like the owners have given it everything they can to maximise the chance of that happening.
I completely agree. Just really, really quickly, I've got another super chat as well. And first and foremost, James, listen, I'll call you out here, mate. Ben wasn't a man-child. Ben didn't put you in a timeout because of a difference of opinion. Yeah, I put you in a timeout. Me, this guy, call me a man-child. I put you in a timeout because you're rude to people. James, you're rude to me. I let it slide a lot. Don't be rude to my mods. Ben does a lot to help my channel. Yeah, he's a great guy, top quality lad. Don't talk to people like this, please. Right? So he wasn't a man-child. Me, I'm big enough, old enough, and ugly enough. I'll take the credit for putting you in a timeout. Yeah. If you stop being rude to people, you won't be putting time out. Isn't it funny? Never ever timed out someone like Phil Coys. Isn't it funny? I've never ever timed out most of the people in here. Why? Because they're not rude. Just because you're behind a computer, don't get to say what you want. Big up to you, Phil. Big up to Jimbo. Jim Bob. There's a B on the end. Maybe this is Kate and Jimbo, his second account, the Jim Bob. Big up. He became a YouTube member. There will be a members only show tomorrow or Saturday, something like that. There will be. I'm going to do 2 or 3 in the next 10 days. So keep a lookout for that. Thank you very much, Jim Bob. Really appreciate you. By the way, you guys, really harsh. Not one subscriber in an hour, not one. Can we please get that button subscribed, and please get over to Levynomics on X and all those wonderful places where people go and click that button for Connor. Really appreciate that. And also big up to Smoky Boy John. Thank you very much, Smoky Boy. He has put in a nice £5 buy me a coffee. He bought me a coffee via the link that you see there. Thank you very much. If anyone else would like to, it's essentially super chats, but I get more of the money rather than YouTube taking it. So it's not an actual coffee, just in case anyone wondered. So thank you very much. Perchy, we need to talk about how I get my buy me a coffee to pop up on the screen. Anyway, we'll talk about that. Big up to Sophie. How you doing, Sophie? Hope you're well. I see you on all the other streams such as Football's 12th Man and the guys Loaded Mag, etc. So I hope you're well, and hope we knock your Newcastle boys out of the cup. What I would say, Connor, as well, is again, I'm still seeing a lot of people that aren't quite understanding how transfers work. When people are saying, oh, 100 million, it doesn't buy us a striker and a winger. Well, even if you bought a striker and a winger for 150 million pound in one window, which we're not going to in a January, you wouldn't be giving more than 100 million pounds out anyway in terms of down payments. You would, let's just
Very
say,
unlikely. Yeah.
You're probably looking at 2 lots of 20 up front, 2 lots of 30, depending on the caliber of the player, depending on the release clause, depending on the finances of the selling club, right? People really need to get that into their understanding of buying footballers, don't they? They really do.
100%. And they also confuse it another way as well, because sometimes people confuse amortization with how much cash goes out the door as well. So at the same time, so say Kudus, for example, we bought him for 55 million, right? So some fans will think that we're going to have to pay 55 million straight away. That's not the case. Some other fans also go the other way and think it's going to be 55 million divided by their contract, which is 5 years. So that's the way you have to account for the amortization. But the cash that goes out the door is normally, over, as you just described, three years normally, something like that. Obviously, every deal is different. But I think for Kudus, it was reported that it was going to be 20 million, 15. When we bought Brennan Johnson, actually, Nottingham Forest did have to disclose this because they ended up taking a loan out against what they were going to receive from Tottenham for Brennan Johnson. And so for that, we actually saw it. And for that one, we paid 15 million of Brennan Johnson's up front. And then the rest was spread over 2, 3, 4 years. So, it will be installments. So to your exact point, actually, in reality, if we spent 100 million in January, the actual cash going out the door would probably be something like 30 million, something like that.
But by the way, Mark saying, can I put the link in? Yeah, I mean, it's there. If anyone wants to do it, the link, if the QR code isn't your thing, then there's the link. And again, I'm not telling anyone to, but if you do, I am very appreciative. Obviously, it's my business, so thank you very much. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Connor. I think that it's I think lots of football fans, I have this conversation all the time. And this is why I know when people just say things like, my worst thing is just put down the money, you get the player. And it's like, well, there's a lot that goes into these transfer deals. And I wish a lot of fans would take the time to understand how transfers work. This isn't Football Manager, right? This isn't Football Manager where they go, oh, I've got 70 million in my kitty for... And yes, in Football Manager, when you have 70 million in your kitty, if you do go and buy a player for 65 million, yes, you are left with 5 million in your kitty. However, in the real world, there's a lot of moving parts as to how these deals work. And that's why when I really wish I had that graph from yesterday, Connor, when it showed how much money Spurs owed over transfers, when it was, I've
got the number actually because I looked it up. As of the last set of accounts, which is now a little bit old, but we owed net 279 million. So we owed out 337 million. We were owed from other clubs 58. So it was 279 million net that we still owed on transfers, which obviously would be over the next couple of years. So you can see why we need to still. And that will continue, and then as some of that gets paid off, we'll get new ones that are added for like Kudus and Simmons, etc. So you'll see that over time. There's one question I just want to pick up from the chat, Savva, which was 1147 from Terry O'Shea. Big up Terry. I know Terry.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. Go for it.
So it's a really good question because a lot of fans are asking this because obviously we saw. At the end of August, the club had taken out this loan facility with Macquarie to basically borrow against our future Premier League revenues. And obviously, everyone implied from that, well, why do you need to do that if ENIC were going to then inject some money? My theory on this one is, one, it's completely standard. So lots of clubs do it because they want to have a way of managing cash flow. And actually, Tottenham have a lot less in sort of short-term overdraft style facilities compared to other clubs. So for example, we've only got a £50 million one with HSBC. Liverpool's is now 300 million, I think. So they have like your bank's overdraft. They have a facility they can draw down on just to sort of manage short-term.
I'm guessing their overdraft is a bit bigger than mine, right?
It's a little bit, yeah. So it's to help manage that. And then what I also think is the timing's quite interesting, right? Because that was taken out on I think it was the very end of August. Levy goes at the start of September. So maybe they took that out in the short term because they knew they had some payments due around the end of August, but they didn't want to have ENIC inject money before Levy had been sort of stepped aside. So I think there's a timing mismatch point that they were probably trying to manage in the short term as well. So I wouldn't read too much into that.
Yeah, interesting. There you go. And big up to Smokey Boy. I know you've put in a few buy me a coffee, so thank you very much, my man. Really appreciate that. And thank you to whoever else just bought me a coffee under the name someone. I'm guessing that isn't your first name. I've got your email address. I'm not going to read it out, but thank you very much to you as well. Really, really, really do appreciate that. Savva, isn't your overdraft mostly for Mackie D's breakfast? Do you know what, right? In all the time I've been doing YouTube, the number of times you've seen me have a Mackie D's, you probably think it's loads. But if you think I'm live twice a day, every day, all year, it's not. I don't live off McDonald's, by the way. There's hardly anything of me. Look, I promise you. Look, I don't. Look, I'm not fat. I've got no weight on me. I don't live on McDonald's. Let's talk. I want to move away from that for a little bit. This should get everybody's cockles.
Interestingly, Savva, just quickly. Yeah, sorry, just quickly, Tottenham have now done the Companies House filing already, which is pretty quick because normally you do it within 30 days. So
Wow.
I just got the notification through from Companies House, so you can see what a loser I am. But yeah, they've already announced it, done the filing with Companies House about this injection as well. So
it just all seems a lot more transparent. At the moment, it all seems a lot more transparent as a football club towards the fans. And I've got a feeling that, I don't know this for sure, but I've got a feeling that when Vinay came in, I think this is one of the key things he's saying, that we've got to let the fans know what's going on. We've got to be transparent. We've got to be open and honest with them. We're hearing everything that's going on at the club at the moment. So So yeah, look, let's talk about just for 10, 15 minutes, if you as long as you've got 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Guys and girls, Richarlison. Now let's see what was said about Richarlison. I'll show you. Here we go. So this is what yesterday. Hang on. Bless me. Oh, am I getting ill? Or is it just a sneeze? Fabrizio Romano said this yesterday. He said Orlando City have presented their project to Richarlison for summer of 2026 with the mission to London to meet with his agents. Bit of a mouthful, that sentence. It didn't really flow freely. He said MLS side led by director Ricardo Moreira spoke to Richarlison's camp, as per ESPN. But he's a key player for Spurs right now. Connor, talk to me. What are you making of all that? What's going on?
Well, I think we're all a bit desperate for him to go, aren't we? I mean, obviously right now he's having to play because Solanke and Muani are out. I think he had a couple of decent games at the start of the season, didn't he? Obviously, Burnley was all right. Had a couple of decent goals. I thought he played all right at Man City. Even in the PSG game, he was okay. But I think we all know, well, I hope this is 99% agreed across the fan base that he's not good enough. For me, he's
well,
other than in that WhatsApp chat, yeah.
I mean, these people in that WhatsApp chat, they talk to me like I'm an absolute idiot, and Richarlison's the greatest goal scorer they've ever seen. But yeah, carry on. Yep.
Yeah. So look, I think absolutely we'd be happy for him to move on. It's interesting, I suppose, whether sorry, did you say whether that was looking at January window or was that for next summer they were talking about for that?
So they're talking about the summer of 2026.
Right.
How long has he got left on his contract? Do we know?
I don't know. I don't think it can't be long, right? Because I don't think he's had a contract renewal.
It's the sort of thing we do, though, isn't it? It is the sort of thing we would do. Anyone in the chat, could you find out for me how long he's got left on his contract? But I went in and watched it's Romano doing his quick fire club by club talking about what's going on, and he did a minute to a minute and a half on Tottenham Hotspur, and he said, look, the difficult thing here is that Richarlison is that Orlando don't have a lot of money. In terms of, Romano says this, an important transfer fee. Now, okay, everyone in the chat saying 2027. So by the time we get to the summer, we've got 1 year left, right? How much money are we really looking, Connor? How much money are we really looking at asking for a transfer fee for Richarlison? With 1 year left, he'll be 29, I think, by the time the summer comes around. How much money are we talking for an important transfer fee?
I mean, I'd be happy with 10 million, wouldn't you? Just to move him on and get the wages off the wage bill and move on with our lives. 10 million feels about right.
And have Orlando City got 10 million?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know a lot about them, to be honest. I mean, I'd probably be lying if I told you I'd even heard of them before this link. Yeah. You know, it's not one of the big MLS teams, is it? So I don't know. I
looked them up yesterday, mate. Normally, when you look down these rosters, you see, hang on, they got him from Milan or him from. I was looking down, and I think the only one I really recognised was it Beraldo, the old centre half? I don't know if anyone remembers him.
Yes. I remember him. Yeah.
But other than that, I didn't see that they had any kind of marquee, like the way LAFC now have got Hugo Lloris and Son. I didn't really see any of those types of players. And I really do apologise in advance to the Orlando City fans that if you go and get your big European signing and it's Richie, I really feel sorry for you. But Any legs in this? Are we giving this story any legs in October of 2025?
Seems an odd one, doesn't it? I mean, to be fair, look, I think he's useless, but I do still think that there's a chance that like a Brazilian team might pick him up, for example, next summer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I think he's probably worth like even though I think he's useless, 5 to 10 million to someone. Surely, you know, I think in a world where players go for what they go for, he'd probably be fine in the Brazilian league or something, right, or in the MLS. So I would hope we could get rid of him. But I think the striker situation's really interesting for Tottenham because obviously we haven't seen Luani yet, so we don't know how he's going to do. But in any case, he was only a loan without any option anyway. If Richarlison regardless of whether Richarlison goes or not, we need to sign a striker next summer. This summer was a really hot market for strikers, wasn't it? Loads moved, right? So you had obviously United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Newcastle, Chelsea, all sign a striker this window. Man City obviously don't need to. So in some ways, I think it's it works better for us that we're going next summer in a way because we're one of the only, hopefully, big boys going for a striker. But you know who that ends up being. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, lots of those clubs did their striker stuff this window, didn't they?
Exactly.
When you look at Man United, I mean, unless Haaland leaves, Man City is sorted. Liverpool, Chelsea, Newcastle have signed 2. And again, yeah, this is the thing. It might be quite exciting if you are a striker or a left winger, and Tottenham come in. You kind of look at that and go, well, yeah, I don't have competition there. I'm walking in, right? I'm walking straight into the team. So, I mean, he's an interesting one for me. It's really difficult for me to try and find positives with the guy because I do think I genuinely think he's that bad, Connor. Like I know people scrape the barrel with. I've always said when people want to talk to me that pressing and shithousery is the first thing that comes out of their mouth for a player, you're not the player for me, right?
You are not attacking players, you know, that should be contributing to goals.
Right, sure. Exactly, mate. So I find this one interesting. It's almost like his name and reputation is going to get him a move rather than anyone actually scouting and going, oh, yes, we want that guy. Do you know what I mean? And look, I know what will happen, Connor. I know, listen, at some point, Richie will score a goal again and everyone will go, oh, you're in the mud because every time a striker scores a goal, apparently someone's in the mud. By the way, me not rating someone, Connor, doesn't mean I don't think they're going to score a goal in a season. Like, I would like to think if I played up front for Spurs for 38 games at this age of 42, I'm going to grab a couple of goals, right? I'm going to grab a couple by hook or crook. One's going to hit my arse from a corner, or I'm going to take a penalty or a tap it. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to score a goal. Oh yes. Oh, I love it. My favorite troll is in here. And you know what I like about him, Connor? He's trolling you as well as me. Yes,
I did see. He told me I'm useless, and then he went on to tell me I'm not even worth a pound, which is, to be fair, I agree, mate. I agree.
You're not even worth a pound. A pound of what?
I don't know.
Pound of what? I like Tony. Tony, let me tell you all about Tony. Tony's a really funny troll. He's very within himself about the previous ownership and Richarlison. Now, it's so funny that the moment I've mentioned Richarlison, he is now in the chat. Like, so he's been watching, right? He's been watching. There was nothing to disagree on. I hadn't upset him. And then, boom. Boom. Connor, you are useless. There you go. You're absolutely useless. How you feeling? You okay with that? You cool?
I am. I describe myself as useless a lot around the house. Don't worry about that. So, you know, my wife does as well. I can't feel the dishwasher properly, Tony, either. So, yeah, don't worry. God.
Anything I can't do in the house, I always premise with, oh, you don't want me doing that. I'm useless at that. Like, even if I can do it. Oh,
a little bit.
you want
Yeah.
a floating shelf? No, no, that's not me, love. I'm useless at that. Let's get a professional in, That's just how it works. By the way, I did see it. I'll tell you what is useless. You are absolutely right, David Crick. There are now 490 people watching and only 157 likes. Smash the like button and subscribe. Please, please, please. It really does help. And we are pushing on our way now to 24,000. So please do that. Perchy is just saying, coffee with the exclamation mark. Now, yeah, I've seen this. Apparently, if you type in exclamation coffee, something happens. I don't know. I don't know what he's talking about there. I don't think Perchy understood what I meant. Mate, I'll talk to you after Perchy. What I was trying to work out was how do I get it like the coffee things to pop up on the screen? Maybe I'll talk to you after. I'll talk to you after, Perchy. I'll talk to you after. Hey, yeah, Connor, listen, I don't want to go. I trust the process. Trust the process. Yeah, big up. Connor, let's just quickly talk about the last couple of seconds. We're going to, we're coming back from the international break next week, and we've got Aston Villa at home as our first game. Aston Villa are in form for how bad their season started. They're now 7 in all comps unbeaten. We're 7 in all comps unbeaten. We've not been great at home. What are you thinking, Aston Villa? We've got to turn the home form around, right?
Well, yeah, we absolutely do. We absolutely do need to. I think, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I fancy we'll win that though. I think it'll be close. I think like 2-1 or something like that. Still for me, although Villa, to your point, have turned things around a little bit. When I watched them, who was it? Was it Fulham they beat 3-1? When I watched that game, I wasn't
Yeah.
that impressed. And Fulham had, certainly with a better team in the first half. And Villa had a sort of 5-minute spell when they scored 2 goals. And then obviously went on to win the games. But I haven't been that impressed with Villa. They seem a little bit. It seems to me a squad that's gone a little bit stale, right? Because of the fact that they couldn't do a lot this summer. And Tottenham have seen that in the past when we had those windows where we didn't sign anyone, and then you just feel that stoutness flows into the squad where you don't have fresh faces. So I fancy us to get a result. I'm not going to be there because I'm away on holiday, but yeah, please God, we do turn around the home form because it's been pretty dire, hasn't it, for a long time now, and even this season under Frank, it hasn't been great.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think that there's a lot of PTSD at home. The fans will get behind when we start winning. The players will probably start winning when the fans get behind.
It's a bit of a vicious cycle, isn't it? Yeah.
It is indeed. It is indeed. Look, I'm going to do, first of all, thank you very much on the Buy Me a Coffee. You guys have been very generous this morning. Thank you to Mark Taylor, who put in a coffee as well. And so did Tweak. That's Gary. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you guys. Honestly, it's very hard for me to convey how much I appreciate it, because when you're building a business and starting a business, obviously money coming in is obviously very, very important. So thank you very much for that, guys. And of course, big up to Mark Taylor, who not only bought me a coffee, but has put in a super sticker as well. Thank you very much, Mark. Really appreciate everything you do for the channel, mate. And I'll see you on the next channel member only show. Big up to Jordinho, said, I'm someone, laugh out loud. I'm not sure why I didn't put my name on. Buy me a coffee. Big up to you. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you. Honestly, I could show you, but I can't really show everyone on the screen. It shows everyone's email addresses. It's just come up as someone. That's what it says. Your name is someone. So big up to you, Jordinho. I still don't know your name, but someone, Jordinho, I like it. It's mysterious. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you, my friends. Really, really appreciated. And Daniel Marlowe said, we spend the money, not on wages. Top players will go for wages. Hence why we have paid big money for mediocre players. This needs assessing. Well, we paid some good money to Kudus. We paid good money to Paulinho. We've paid good money to cover Mawani. We've paid good money to Xavi Simons. It's just got to continue.
Romero's new contract. Yeah.
Romero's new contracts as well. Yeah, it's got to, James Maddison's paid a fair whack. It's just got to continue. I agree with you, but we now need to see that that we don't go and buy the next young striker because he's 40k a week rather than an Ivan Toney, by the way, who I would absolutely love. Everyone in the chat, just before we leave, big up to you, Daniel Marlowe. I really appreciate you. Everyone, really, really appreciate everyone. Lots of people in the chat have been saying, you know, imagine a January where we get Toney on loan and Semenyo bought. I mean, that's game changing for me. You add those two into this team, and I really do feel like we then should be top 4 without any excuses. I really do.
I agree. I mean, I think the one concern always with players that go out to Saudi is, you know, how seriously they've been taking it and when they come back, right? But I think what Tony offers you is something different to what the others do, right? Well, he offers you something which is different to Richarlison. And then, you know, I think he's very different to a Muani, right? Whereas, you know, Muani, who's going to stretch defenses, run into the channels, versus a Tony who's much better at holding the ball up and is a real aerial threat. You know, on loan. I mean, obviously, we wouldn't be able to compete on what he's getting paid in Saudi, even with a wage headroom. But perhaps he's fed up of life out there, so that could be a potential. And then obviously Semenyo would be. We all know that. That's what we all know. We desperately need a left winger. I mean, I'm happy with, you know. I think in January for me, I'm not expecting huge amounts, regardless. So I think if you did that, that's brilliant. I think you know, I think next summer is when you then need to go for that sort of ball playing centre midfielder and a striker if you don't get Tony in January, right? So we need an Adam Wharton type for me. That's the next one. That's the big signing next summer.
I completely agree with you. I've talked about this for years. I've said for a very long time I don't rate our number 8s, and I'm always told I'm negative, but I think we need a ball playing number 8 that puts his foot on the ball and dictates games. And if that's Adam Wharton, I'm all for it. If not, shout. If we're scouting someone, then brilliant. Then yeah, absolutely. Listen, Connor, thanks so much, mate. I really appreciate that. Always like that. I mean, Phil Coys, Strand Larson for me. I'm not sure. I think we need better than Strand Larson. Also, he's just signed a brand new contract. He's going to be a lot of money for me for not a. I don't mind Strand Larson, by the way, Connor. I don't look at him and go needle mover. I think Ivan Toney for me is hold up play, powerful in the air, target man, and the Thomas Frank connection. It just seems like a no-brainer to me. I don't mind Strand Larson, but I mean, they were rejecting 70 million bids for Strand Larson, and he ain't that guy. He's not that guy. So we'll see. Guys, girls. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to send you all over to Never a Foul. I'm going over there right now as well. When you get there, just type in Savva Raid. I'll join you there shortly. Thank you to all the people who bought me a coffee. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the subscribers. Much love. Please go and join Match Bingo as well. It's good fun. I won again last night. So go and join Match Bingo. It's good fun. Just scan the QR code. It's a good laugh. Really good on match days. Take care, everyone. Much love. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Spurs.